Oh, hi. We're back. Another episode. We're going at it a little bit weekly here to make up for the little bit of the break that I went and took during the winter holidays there. But I am back, and just as promised on the last episode, I've got another guest on here with me tonight. I'd like everybody to go and give a warm welcome to Echo Gaming. So what's going on, Echo? How you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, man. I am excited to be here and with all of your friends over here from the Diablo world. Listen, why wouldn't you have a show every week when we just got out of alpha from Diablo Immortal? There's so much excitement, so much stuff to talk about, man. I mean, how could you not do it every single week?
I
I'm happy to
mean,
be here, though.
I feel you on that one. I feel so bad that it's like my schedule just got so gummed up that I couldn't record anything during like the one time that we were just having weekly stuff to talk about all the time. You go from trying to fill a show every 2 weeks to you could record a show every 2 days. It's
Yeah.
it was just killing me. And now I'm playing catch up, and so that's why we're going on these weekly episodes. But if you've been listening to the show for a while, you've heard me mention this man's name quite a bit, calling out his channel and stuff. So it shouldn't be any surprise for any of the listeners here. But please, Echo, tell these people at home, who you are, what you do, why are you on my lawn?
Yeah, I'm here, well, because Nine and I started working together about 8 months ago doing the lore series of my Echo Gaming Diablo channel, which is a channel that I made specifically for Diablo Immortal after I kind of took a look at it and played it at BlizzCon 2019. I realized that I was a fan and that this had a future, so I created a dedicated YouTube channel for that, in addition to a few other channels that I have as well. So yeah, I'm a mobile gaming enthusiast, which is probably something different than you typically have in the show here, man. So I hope that I can give some insight and some understanding of what's going on in the mobile world versus, the PC Diablo world.
Yep, and I can really think of no one better to go through and take a look at Immortal because the majority of people in the Diablo community are looking at it from the eyes of a PC player. There's,
Mhm.
over the last couple of years, there's been a lot more people that have been looking at it from the eyes of a console player. That Diablo 3 was their first game that they ever played in the franchise, and it's all because it was on the Switch, or the Xbox, or the
Mhm.
PlayStation. We've got a whole new swath of people that are going to be going through, diving in, and joining us in our little Diablo community here because it's coming out on mobile. Such a massive market, and it's really nice to see a point of view from someone that already exists within that space and is coming in here, from the mobile side to see what's going on with this Diablo stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm here to do. I mean, I love mobile games. I think there's good and bad things about them, but I mean, we're going to get into that discussion today on what we like and don't like about Diablo Immortal, what they're doing right and what maybe they're not. So yeah, man, I think I could definitely add to the conversation, and it's a conversation I'm excited to have. Like I said, I do a podcast myself, and it's really nice to just be able to sit back and not have to take any controls, just be able to hang out and talk. So Nine, thanks for having me again. I'll thank you for having me on the channel and on the stream. It's
Uh,
gonna be fun.
the pleasure is all mine, and of course, the best part is having someone else edit it all afterwards.
Mm,
That's
that is very nice.
I miss those days when someone else edited
Hmm.
the show.
Well,
Ar-
well,
Archon, please come back. Um, but yeah, no. I know. So I have not done an episode on the Immortal Alpha yet, and I was lucky enough in order to get a chance to go through and test it. I believe you were actually testing the alpha a little bit longer than I was. You were given a little bit more access, and I think we also both played it from a little bit of a different angle. You went wide in order to go through and just like see and test everything, whereas I kind of just focused in and zeroed in on the demon hunter with a little bit. I never got my monk to max level, but yeah. What was some of your just like initial thoughts and reactions coming from like the side of being a hardcore mobile gamer?
yeah. Well, I mean, honestly, there's so much I could say about this. Why don't I start with how I kind of took on the alpha? I was creating content on my YouTube channel for a year without the game. So I was literally using like 30 minutes of footage over a year to just make content. So my strategy was I wanted to get as much footage of as much characters and as much of the game as possible. So a lot of you OG players like Leviathan yourself, you guys spent a lot of time really getting deep into one hero inside of the game, where I tried to get a character to max level and then move on to the next character. So I actually did the Barbarian, the Demon Hunter, the Monk, all to max. The Wizard got to near level 40. And to be honest, I didn't love the Wizard as much as the Barbarian. So instead of maxing out her, I went back to the Barbarian for the last couple of days just to enjoy it. So I tried to really experience everything the game had to offer, minus really getting deep into the Paragon system. So I think I have a pretty wide view of what the game has, playing through the campaign itself multiple times and, really diving in across the classes.
Yeah, I have to ask you a question on the whole wizard thing, because I also tried starting a wizard, even though I got the monk. I think I got my monk like into the 20s, and then I decided to like roll a wizard to like try and level up with some friends, and it felt the most engaging gameplay wise, even on like the few levels that I played it, but also the worst experience possible. I did not enjoy it at all. And I don't know what your reaction was when you saw the Twitter stats that Immortal put out with the wizard being the most popular class in the game. And it was just like, what? How?
Yeah.
Why?
I was surprised by that stat too. I mean, I know that a lot of people play the wizard, and I know that a lot of people like the wizard, but I was really surprised. I thought it was going to be the Demon Hunter. The Demon Hunter always seemed to be the most popular of those four classes. But for me, I like to, go in and slam stuff around. So it was the Barbarian, the Monk. They were my two favorites because it's, more of that melee up in your face combat. Not saying the Wizard was bad. She was just too squishy for me because I have a problem. I can't not get into the battle. So when I'm getting in there, she's getting beaten up pretty badly. It's really just based on play style.
Yeah.
If you like staying away, then the Wizard's going to be something you like. But if you don't, and I honestly could say that across all four classes, although I had my favorites, I didn't feel that one was good and one was less good. I feel like they all had their solid spot. And I mean, clearly, because the Wizard was my least favorite, yet it was the most popular. Clearly it's, so it says it right there.
Yeah. No, it's like, and I guess to break down like my own experience with it, every one of the classes kind of had like some sort of like little like combo or gimmick that you could go through and do. The Demon Hunter just felt like if you put your skills together properly, you had a lot of ways to engage or shoot a lot of enemies. You had some decent like single target damage. You had some like really good area of effect. Multi-shot was probably like the best area of effect skill in the game because it hit like 3/4 of the screen at once and did ridiculous damage. Going through and playing the monk in Diablo or Diablo 3, the monk is kind of like a very like combo based system. There's a lot of builds out there where you actually equip, like in Immortal you can only equip one like generator, your primary skill, and then all of the other ones are secondary skills. You could equip in Diablo 3 multiple of those primaries. They're called generators in that game. That you could weave them together where you use like multiple generators in order to get like damage bonuses in order to go through. There's a whole bunch of like generator builds that are out there in D3. So it's already a very like it's a class that has like combo synergy built into it. And I could really feel that with being able to like, you zip in with a kick, pull everything in with the Cyclone Strike, and then you seven-sided strike everything, or Exploding Palm with a couple of legendaries, and just corpses go flying in every direction. And it felt like really good. Like I had this combo going. I was really using the class to its fullest potential. That clicked for me a little bit more than like the Demon Hunter did. But then like playing the Wizard from like the first couple of levels, being able to do that Firestorm, like hit the things with the fireball and then drop the ice. I forget what it was. I played maybe an hour of the Wizard and I can't remember what their skills were, but they had like the ice lance or something, and then it would like explode. It would do like, you'd even have the little pop up on the screen, Firestorm, and it felt so good and engaging that you're really getting the benefit of comboing your skills, and you're not just pressing buttons, you're actually putting thought into how it played. But at the same time, like I felt I did more damage as the Demon Hunter just hitting multi-shot the entire time. You know, I
Yeah.
put in all this work on the wizard and just wasn't getting the payback for it.
Yeah, I agree. As I started to progress and got deeper, now it's not fair that I say I like the wizard the least because I didn't max the wizard where I did the others. And obviously, the higher you get them, the more skills you get unlocked, and the more you learn how to combo those skills. I was beginning to learn how to combo the skills together and get some of that good feeling, but nothing felt as good. Well, first of all, nothing felt as good as the barbarian, but nothing felt like the monk, you know, seven side strike, ray of light on top of everyone, literally pulling everyone together and then just smashing everything, and then they're literally just gone. I mean, I was a big fan of the ray of light. It was
Mm-hmm.
a great skill. I mean, I used it, enjoyed it, but at the end of the day, it came down to the barbarian. I spawned my little golden guardian friend that came along with me, and we just tore stuff up.
Mm-hmm. And it was also Arcane Wind, Scrappy going through and dropping the
Mm-hmm.
knowledge in chat there. Thanks you, man. Thanks Nemo. Um, so the Arcane Wind plus Scorch combo. And what was cool is like you'd be running by in the open world, you'd see a wizard out there killing stuff, and their firestorm would pop up on your screen. And it's just like, yeah, you do it, man. Um, it was just so weird, like having that super engaging gameplay, but it didn't feel anywhere near as rewarding as just like the one button press on the Demon Hunter. And so I felt that that's definitely something that can be tuned and tweaked.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but also like you said, there was like kind of like that survivability. Whereas the Demon Hunter just, I always use the crossbow shot, so that way you could always be on the move while going through and attacking. You never actually
Mm-hmm.
had to stop, stand still, and cast. So I really enjoyed the mobility that the Demon Hunter had, and then like the kick from the monk in order to like
Mm-hmm.
dash across the screen and such. So I really enjoyed
Yeah.
all those mobility options. I guess I just didn't level up the wizard, you know, to get any of her mobility options. That might have changed my opinion.
Well, there was one that I got to, and it was the teleport, where
Mm-hmm.
you could have three charges, and you can kind of. It was kind of like the kick. It didn't do the damage, but it would like hightail you out of there really quickly with the wizard.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a similar mechanic. But you say that they could tweak things, but I mean, to be honest, you and I may not be fans of the wizard, but it seems like we're outnumbered by the people that were in there. So maybe no tweaking actually needs to be done.
Yeah.
It's already the most popular class. I mean, I don't know that they'd want to tweak it more to make it overwhelmingly a more popular class.
Oh yeah.
But we do know that when the game launches, Necro's just going to take that position. Wizard's going to be a forgotten class. Everyone's going to go Necro, right?
Solidarity, my undead brother. Um, yeah, and that was actually another one of the things that kind of surprised me. And after last week's episode, I've been talking with Leviathan offline about it. That it's so weird that we still don't have anything on the Necro or the Crusader. Like it's been 2 years since the
Yeah.
announcement, and the in at 2018 you could just play the monk, the wizard, and the barbarian. And my thoughts back then coincide still at this point. Monk, out of those three original ones, you can go back in some of the older episodes and some of the stuff that I wrote on Diablo fans. I enjoyed the monk the best and the wizard the least back then playing it in 2018, and my
Mm.
thoughts still kind of held up. But like the Demon Hunter was introduced last year in 2019, and then this year, you know, going into the technical alpha, and we still don't have anything with the Necromancer and the Crusader.
Yeah.
And it makes me wonder, since this one is, you know, going into a little bit different ground than previous incarnations of Diablo, because it is being marketed as an MMO ARPG, and it makes me think that maybe it's because like the Crusader and the Necromancer are going to be fulfilling certain archetypes that haven't really existed so much in Diablo. Well, in D3 you have support builds, you have like the 0 DPS builds that are just there to support and prop up your couple of designated like killers, but you've never had anything like a dedicated tank, you know. And so I'm wondering if that's something like the Crusader is going to be more geared towards being like a dedicated tank, and so they didn't want to quite show off that yet in the alpha, or it's still something that they're working on. And like maybe the Necromancer is more of a like a buffer debuffer, like a support character, than like just like the standalone DPS that, you know, Demon Hunter or Monk is, because we haven't gotten into some of those. They said that even though we had a lot and we accessed a lot in the game, they've said that we haven't seen everything yet. of what they have for like in-game systems. So we don't know if there's like raids or bigger parties.
Yeah, they did mention that, and honestly, from listening to what they said, they made it seem like there's a lot that we haven't seen. Like, I got the feeling that we saw maybe half, if not only a third, of what they have in store, just from how they were talking. That's just me and my assumption.
Mm-hmm.
But I do have some concerns because, like, and this is just me and you talking here. No one's listening.
No one at
No one's
all.
listening.
No.
But if at 2018 they showed 3 classes, right, and then a year later they were ready with a 4th class, do we need to be worried that the Necromancer and the Crusader aren't developed really at all yet, or do you think they're kind of hiding it even from the people that had the alpha? I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean,
that could be like another 2 years in development if that's the case, if they're not even developed.
yeah, I mean that is kind of like one of my big questions coming out of the alpha is what happened to these 2 classes, because we've not even really seen much gameplay from the Crusader or the Necromancer, just little clips from the B-roll footage. And then I
Right.
think asking some questions, I don't remember whether it was 2019 or 2018, a little like just asking some questions to the developers, and I remember them mentioning like one of the ultimates for the Crusader was going to be like an invincibility. So they were going to have certain classes where your primary skill might not always be a damage dealer, where it increases like the amount of damage that you do when you activate that ultimate. The Crusader was going to be like a limited time of invincibility, and that to me was like that really sounds like a tanking ability. Something that you're up there in the front taking the boss in order to survive some sort of mechanic, so everyone else can scatter, and survive. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely a question, and I'm not sure, because they actually went and launched like that technical alpha and gave such unrestricted access to content creators. The lucky few out in Australia that were able to go through and get selected to test the game. It makes me think that we're not 2 years away. It is probably something that is going to be sometime this year, 2021, which feels so relieving to say 2021, given all things considered. I think people will understand why I say that. But it it makes me think that it's that there has to be something else. I'm sure that there's going to be some like tweaks or polish that they want to go and put on it before it's something that they have out there in the open for people to test and potentially break. But there's something that's holding it back, and it's trying to figure out what it is.
Let me talk about this from a mobile perspective, because and I've told this story a few times on my channel. I'll tell it here for everyone that's watching live. I went to BlizzCon 2019. I was a noob to the whole world of Blizzard. I was everything Supercell, and I've been to those events, but I didn't know anyone at Blizzard. So I'm there meeting all these new people, overwhelmed by the size of BlizzCon, and literally just following Wyatt around like a lost puppy the entire time, meeting people. I played Immortal. They had it on tablets and they had it on phones. So I played each of the classes that were available on the tablet and on the phone, and I did that a couple of times. So I would go back to my hotel room and I'm thinking of my YouTube strategy. What am I going to do to make content for Diablo Immortal without having Diablo Immortal? And I literally downloaded 30 MMORPGs, action RPGs, just to see like, how does this compare? I literally just played Diablo Immortal's pre-alpha. How does this compare? And man, I played some good games, but nothing came close to Diablo Immortal. And I've been talking about this for a year on my channel, and no one really believes me, because who am I? I'm just some dude that's talking on the internet. But now, playing it even more developed, I mean, I think it's more confirmed. We have people like yourself, like Riker, Bloodshed. Everyone's out there saying that the game is pretty good. It's got a couple of flaws that they feel, but it's a good game. Some people saying even more depth than Diablo 3. So my point of this long-winded discussion is, playing a ton of mobile games, Diablo Immortal in its alpha state, in its technical alpha, is better than most games out there now, fully developed. And this is, in my opinion, Blizzard's way of stepping into mobile for the first time with an exclusive mobile title and saying, this is what we're doing. We're going to be coming into mobile in the future, not exclusively mobile. They'll be on PC and console as well. But They want to step into mobile and they want to make a huge splash and make people say, wow, this game is good, especially after that awful launch that they had. I mean, they know that it was bad, not launch, the announcement.
Yep.
They need to first deal with the negative announcement. Then they have to deal a year later with everyone saying, well, where's the game? Everyone's mad that it's not there. So they better have something amazing when it drops to basically have everyone say, oh, okay, this is actually pretty good. And from looking at the alpha, I think they did that. They could put Diablo Immortal out today the way we saw it, even with 4 classes, and people would be ecstatic. Now, I don't know what kind of development's going on with the PvP element that they've teased, but the game is such a whole game already. Those could be, I'm not saying they should be, but they could be add-on features later on. Every couple of months, they add on another feature. I know that's not the way that they want to do it, and I respect that, and it's cool. But my point is, the game is amazing and better than most things that are out there already today.
Yeah, and that was one of those coming from just like the PC side, taking some of your recommendations, trying and playing like Raziel, and experiencing that, which was a pretty decent like mobile ARPG. And in my humble, I've played like 3 games on mobile experience, and then going and playing. I think we actually talked about this before. Going and playing Immortal, and it was just like, wow, not trying to dig on Raziel, but Immortal just like Raziel just feels like it has an inferior control scheme to Immortal, and like Immortal isn't even out yet,
Yeah. And Raziel is a good game.
Yeah,
it's got a lot of pay to win elements in it, but it's a good game.
Your first 20 hours in Raziel are like amazing,
But still nothing compared to Diablo Immortal. I'd take Diablo Immortal the first 20 hours before Raziel any day.
Oh yeah. It's I think we've talked about that one a couple of times. It might not be in some of the episodes, it might be in some of like the after shows, that if you're listening on YouTube or iTunes, you can always catch the show live, over at twitch.tv/BlizzPro. And we also have, the pre-show and the after show, like little discussions and thoughts and kind of like little jam out sessions and such that you can always, hop on and listen to. But it was like going and talking about Raziel. It was like, I can't recommend anybody to go and play the game because it gets seriously pay to win. But if you just want like a 20-hour excursion, it's great. You don't run into any of the pay to win blocks as you're going through and like leveling that first character up through the story, and then after that, it kind of gets pretty bad. But like a lot of those problems, and seeing what that looks like on Raziel, and then comparing that to the kind of like roadblocks, not really roadblocks, but the mechanisms that they use over in Immortal, with some of those mechanics and such. Because
but
go ahead.
I'll let you continue and then I'll hop in. Sorry.
Oh yeah, no, I was just gonna go through and say, in Raziel, there's like literally nothing that you can do in some of the in-game content without having that buy-in and paying in to do stuff. Either whether it's because you don't have the gear or the characters like upgraded enough in order to actually do that higher end content, or you just flat out have to buy tokens with real money in order to go through and do things. In Immortal, you're kind of free to do anything that you want, and then just some of the elements are a little bit gated behind gear, or like you legendary gems to like prop up your early power. And if you've been listening to a lot of the Immortal feedback, I know there's been a lot of negative things to talk about legendary gems, and I hope to cover a little bit of that later. But just like that initial pop from legendary gems, but you're free to do anything and everything. You're not physically limited behind any pay mechanics.
Yeah, you could play the entire game with no time limit, no energy system. You could literally play for a month straight, and there's nothing holding you back. And I mean, I have some arguments in favor of Blizzard and Diablo with that gem system, so I'm looking forward to chatting about it later. But yeah, I mean, I've seen some insane pay-to-win games that if you don't pay money, you won't win, or you will get hurt if you don't pay money. In Diablo Immortal, it's a very different system. So there's the free-to-play models, and I actually wanted to put a video out on this, and I haven't. There's free-to-play, there's pay to progress, and then there's pay to win. And I think I think that Diablo is not is teetering in there. And again, it was the technical alpha. Things can be adjusted. And one thing I'll say, in talking to all of the people that are working at Blizzard, I don't talk to all of them, but who we were talking to,
No, he
they
talks to
really,
every single one of them.
everyone, they all hit me up. They really cared about my feedback, which leads me to believe they really cared about everyone's feedback that was in the alpha. Like the we were filling out these papers afterward, or not papers, digital forms, really about our experience on phone calls. What didn't you like about the game? Why didn't you like it? How can we make it better? Type questions. And even some small issues I had with the game, like tiny little things, they wanted to know everything about why, because they wanted to make sure that people didn't have that experience. I feel like they legitimately don't want anyone to have anything bad to say about the game anywhere when it does release. And that's impressive. It's also part of the reason why it's taking so long to come out, to get perfection, but they are definitely taking their time to make sure it's as perfect as it could be.
Yeah, and that is something you kind of touched on with everything from the botched announcement to the backlash from the greater Diablo community and such. That
Mhm.
there's a lot of pressure to be like the perfect mobile game, and after playing the alpha, it definitely seems like they're delivering on that.
Yeah, I mean, I've said this for a while too. It feels like it's insulting to call something a mobile game nowadays, especially in these communities. Like, oh, it's just a mobile game. It's because there are some awful trash mobile games for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But what Blizzard's doing is they're making a Diablo game, a triple A Diablo game. They're just doing it on a different platform, and mobile is capable now of withholding this type of development. Like it can. I mean, how do you feel? Do you think that Diablo Immortal, what you played, is even more in depth than what you've played and experienced in Diablo 3? I know it's a
Oh,
big difference in time there, but
I mean, just from the things that I've seen, yes, there is a lot more things to do and engage with in Immortal than what exists in Diablo 3. I think Leviathan said it, Diablo 3.5, or you could even call it like it's Diablo 3 2. That is just, it took a lot of the things that worked well in Diablo 3 and then made them better, and took the things that didn't work well and then made them better too.
yeah, and that says something that in something that a lot of people already have in their pocket, it can play better than the game that is their hit, their biggest hit for Diablo, which is Diablo 3. Now Diablo 4 is coming out in a few years, so that'll be a different story then, but for now, I mean, that's pretty impressive. I mean, I look at mobile games like another example of one is called Dragon Raja. It's one of those anime MMORPG games. I look
Mm-hmm.
at these games like it's really impressive. Or Genshin Impact, another one of those. Like it's really impressive what they're able to create. And Blizzard's doing that. It's just they're doing it in a dungeon hell dark world, which I prefer for my games rather than dancing around with these pretty characters in these anime worlds. That's
Mm-hmm.
just me.
Yeah, it definitely, it Diablo has, this should be a shock coming from me, but Diablo has something special, in its genes and its story that really kind of like sets it apart. Because even though everybody goes and like starts skipping cutscenes despite my threats of violence, and like bypassing the story and such, but those are some of the things that go and hook you, into the game, that make you feel kind of like a part of it. That even though it's like a one-time thing that you remember, but like everybody remembers their first time playing against Duriel in Diablo 2. Everybody remembers the first time they got the butcher quest in Diablo 1. Everybody remembers the first time they pushed Belial to phase 3 in Diablo 3. It's some of these things that just it's like these little story elements that you kind of like experience once, and then you cream the boss every other time that you ever engage them for the rest of experience gaming. But you'll always kind of like stop. Like when one of my favorites is like Diablo 2, right before you drop down in Tel Rosh's tomb, you always hesitate before clicking that portal, even though, oh, I'm just doing nightmare runs for this particular like ring drop or something like that. Like I'm gonna destroy him in 2 hits, but you hesitate for just a second because you remember, ooh, he did bad things to me in that hole. And so It's definitely something that helps, support then the awesome and epic gameplay that they're going and putting together with the game.
Well, I'll tell you, you nine have forever changed me as a gamer because I was always the cutscene skipper. I just wanted the action. I didn't care about story. But you and we've built this relationship, and you actually make me think twice. Now, I do not care about it as much as you do, but I do slow myself down and say, I should listen to this or I should read this, and I do. So you would be proud of me when I was playing.
Yeah, I am. I'm a proud father.
You should be.
But yeah, I think we could probably just go through and dive into, some of those meteor topics, particularly like the legendary gems.
Yeah.
If you've listening to this, I'm sure that you've probably seen a lot of other content creators, a lot of other people out there talk about legendary gems. It is both a really cool concept and one of the most worrying aspects about Diablo Immortal, because it's something that is a direct buy-in that you can pay for power, because the only way to get legendary gems is to run Elder Rifts using legendary crests. And in the game, the only way to consistently get legendary crests was to purchase them with the real money currency. There are reports and the people have seen that they've gotten legendary crests without putting in or legendary gems without putting in the legendary crests into the Elder Rifts. So there were some ways to do it. There was also a way to buy it. I think it had a weekly limit or the daily limit to buy crests with some other non real money currency. But the quickest, most efficient way of doing it was using your real money currency in order to go through and buy those crests in order to jump in and get some legendary gems. And part of that is a very fair criticism, because those first couple legendary gems that you get are huge. The damage bonuses are, can be massive on some of them. And then not just that, the legendary gem itself boosts your base stats by like 25% on just like a rank 1 gem. So it makes the base stats of your gear even higher to give you even more of an effect than a damage increase.
Yeah, there's no question that legendary gems are going to make you more powerful, and the more you upgrade them, the more powerful you're going to get. But there's a couple of questions we have to ask, and there's a lot of issues with this. So there's a lot to talk about here, so I'm glad we have the time. So first of all, who are we talking about that this matters to, right? So if you have Leviathan, who wants to spend $1,000 a month on Diablo Immortal and just buy legendary crests like crazy, you are going to be extremely powerful. And me, I'm going to be the free-to-play player and never buy anything. I'm going to get legendary gems here and there from finding them. I'll get a few crests from the season pass or from the battle pass, and I'll get legendary gems to outfit my gear, but I won't be able to level them up. Where are you and I going to encounter one another to where that actually matters? Is it only in the leaderboards? I mean, that's the only place that I see it right now that it matters. And this is me. I could care less about the leaderboards personally. I was not one that was engaging the leaderboards, and I feel that the percentage of people that care about leaderboards are very small. Maybe 1%, 2% of the people that are actually going to be playing Diablo Immortal. So, in my opinion, the legendary crest, legendary gem pay to win issue is only an issue that's going to be had with the big spenders anyway. The rest of us that are going to not pay anything or spend a little bit here and there, we're going to be able to enjoy the game and play our own game and just not do any of those leaderboard things. I mean,
yeah,
unless if it intrudes on PvP and there's no matchmaking system keeping people with their ranked people. So when you play Halo, if you're rank 10, you're playing against rank 10s. If you in Diablo Immortal, if there's a PvP where there's a matchmaking system and there doesn't have any type of an evener in there, that's completely not even a word, but something that evens out who you're going against, then there's going to be a problem, because I'll run into you and you'll smash me with one shot. But if there's something that can just kind of keep a level playing field, yeah, you can get stronger with it, but it's not like in other mobile games where the stronger you are, you can then go attack people's villages and steal everything that they've worked for 6 months. Like there's no interaction where it's going to really hurt someone the
Mm-hmm.
way it can in so many other games I've seen. I mean, I could be off. Is there something here that I'm missing, or that I'm hearing different? I'm seeing differently.
I mean, it's one of those ones that coming from kind of like the Diablo 3 mindset, that there is a lot of contention from your average forum poster to the people that are going through and, slamming the leaderboards on the Diablo 3 seasons. Though
Mm-hmm.
even then, like there's a lot of people that play legitimately. They don't, bot or take place in any of these other like frowned upon or, kind of like illegal is the wrong word, but it's the best one to describe it. Activities while playing the game, things that are against the terms of service.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but the people that consistently place in those top positions at the end of the season aren't the people really botting. They're the ones that are playing legitimately. Sure, the people that bot have a little bit of an advantage, but they still have to play the game at that high level in order to get those clears. Or even with like the last couple of seasonal bonuses that they've had in D3, the solo progression or the team progression is just so out of whack from the seasonal buff that doesn't even really matter all that much anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But I would actually take your point and go a little bit further with it, where I don't think that it's going to be that big of a difference in the grand scheme of things when it comes to the tiers of players. There's going to be, like someone like myself is going to be more on the casual side versus, your Leviathans that are going to go through and just, they're going to start blasting the game and go full bore. Someone that plays as much as I do, no matter how much money I spend, will ever be able to compete with Leviathan. Because those legendary gems, while getting the gem and socking it into your first place, you'll never get the power boost from a legendary gem as you did when you put the first one in your gear.
Yeah.
Going up
25%. Yeah.
Yeah, because then going up to rank 2, rank 3, rank 4, those are small minimal increases to the overall power of your character. And then it also those legendary gem increases, you get so much of that that instant power boost from that base 25%, and it goes up by 5% for each rank of the gem, and then 5% for each quality, because there's like 1-star gems, 2-star, there's some threes, and I think that there was like one 4-star gem that I never actually saw drop, but you could craft in the shop.
Mm-hmm.
And each one of those can give you like a little 5% bonus. So someone that's running around with like a rank 6 3-star gem, and I only have a rank 1 1-star gem, it's like a 60% to a 25% base increase. But if I am upgrading my gear, which is something that you can't fast forward through pay to win mechanics, you can only upgrade your gear through playing the game. Any of those stat bonuses that you get for having that higher ranked gem would be offset by the fact that I put more time into my character.
Yeah.
So someone can go through and buy out full rank 6 gems or rank 9, rank 10 gems on their gear. But if they've only upgraded their gear to like rank 6, and Leviathan is running around with like the rank 20 gear on all of his stuff, his stats are still higher. He's still doing more damage because your legendary gem doesn't affect your upgrade ranks, to my knowledge.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't matter how far that you've gotten it. I can still surpass the power bonus that you're getting by just playing more, getting more dust, and upgrading my gear through the blacksmith.
So, I would assume though, if you have other players who are, let's call them pay to win players, although I don't completely agree with that. They could do the same thing, get the same dust, upgrade the gear, and get the gems. They're still going to have an advantage, but you're right. Everyone's going to be able to put legendary gems inside of their gear, even if you're free to play. You're just not going to be able to rank them up as much. And
yeah,
I mean,
it's one of those ones where it's like, if there's someone that goes and plays 16 hours a day, to compete with like the top tier players that are out there, and then spends $1,000 a month going and buying legendary crests, yeah, they'll have an advantage until the other players can level up their gems. If there is that's like the big problem at the moment, is that there really wasn't any way to consistently get legendary gems through a free to play means. Like, people were going through and playing, dozens and dozens and dozens of Elder Rifts and maybe seeing one drop without a crest.
Yeah.
So and you got a legendary gem through the free to play seasonal pass, the battle pass.
Hmm.
You didn't even have to pay into it. You got one at the end of the track. You got some legendary crests through the free to play track. You get more legendary crests if you do the seasonal pass, which they haven't announced the pricing on. But I think we've talked about this offline. Generally, it's somewhere in the range of like $5 to $15, $20, for those seasonal passes.
Yeah, typically from what I've seen, when you're looking at, I mean, they could do whatever they want, but what I usually see for a month pass, it's usually $5.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, they could do whatever they want there. But I would guess it's gonna be $5 at most 10, but
Mm-hmm.
I would say five. $5 a month. You can make they can make a lot of money from a player base because you have to look at as a player what's the value you're getting. So I
Mm-hmm.
play Clash of Clans and I spend $5 a month for the season pass. I look at it, I'm getting like 50 times value. No, I don't want to spend the $5, but at the same time, I don't mind supporting the company that I've been playing the game with for 7 years, and I would like the stuff that you get for buying the pass. So it's kind of a deal that's too good to pass up type thing. Like you're
Mm-hmm.
you're going window shopping and it makes you go in the store because the deal is so good.
Yeah.
It's worth it if you can. But for people that can't afford it, here's your battle pass top tier. You guys can get this stuff, and there's still some great stuff on it.
Oh yeah, and it was just like little things, like it was just giving you a couple more crafting mats or a couple more crests, and not always
Mhm.
legendary crests. It was going through and giving you rare crests, which is
Right.
just going and getting runes for crafting legendary gems. Which
Hmm.
I think if they incentivize the rune system a little bit more, maybe through like the challenge rift was one of the big ways of going in and getting runes. Though you also got some by just playing Elder Rifts, and you got more runes by playing the rifts with any type of crest in it. If they incentivize that a little bit more to make it easier to craft the legendary gems on your own, I think that would be another like kind of like alternate system that would help. Is it really what it is?
Hmm.
I think that if they kind of solved the issue of just getting the legendary gems in the first place, and then if they wanted to leave kind of like that pay for power mechanic in there, that I can then expedite my process of leveling up the legendary gems, would be kind of like a fine, because you really don't. There's not that much of a power difference going from say like a rank 2 to a rank 6 gem. Sure, you get your secondary stat unlock on some of
Hmm.
those gems, but they're really not that big when you compare. Oh, my rank 2 gem versus my rank 6 gem. I'm getting like an extra 15 strength out of this item versus the fact that I have like a rank a rank 6 upgrade versus a rank 11 upgrade. And it's I've got 40 stats on this gem versus 100. And you're getting much more power from actually playing and grinding the game than you did from any of the apparent like paid mechanics that were in the technical alpha.
Yeah, and again, even with all that, it's still just affecting a very small percentage of people that are trying to be top players on the top leaderboards.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, and remember, we're not only talking about a Diablo 3 audience, which now, years after release of the game, like that's a big core of who's playing Diablo 3. But Diablo Immortal, it's it's going to be like 80%. My
Mm-hmm.
guess would be 80% of the people that play Diablo Immortal have never played another Diablo game. I mean, you're going to have the people that have played Diablo try it in their phones, but when you think about the mobile market, first of all, it's very, it's international, it's all around the world. It's a younger audience, people that, I mean, when Diablo 3 came out, they may have only been 10 years old and maybe they never even played the game. And then,
That is true.
the free to play games came out like Fortnite and stuff like that, where they don't really have to pay for games anymore. That's kind of, in my opinion, the future of gaming all around, is all of this microtransaction style game. I mean, look at Destiny 2, a prime example. What an amazing game. You get it for free and then you could pay for things inside of the game. This is like the new way that games are being made, and it's what the younger audience is used to seeing, and it's pioneered on mobile, but we're starting to see it go on to PC as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so the
And
audience. is going to be used to this kind of stuff already, and it's not even bad in my opinion.
And that's actually something that's kind of exists there already, because Diablo's biggest competitor, Path of Exile, is on PC a free to play game.
Hmm.
But it exists entirely off of cosmetic microtransactions, which is something that we got a little bit of a tidbit in the developer Q&A that they had during the technical alpha, that there are going to be kind of like paid cosmetics that you'll be able to get within the game. There was no
Hmm.
transmog option or anything, which is a very popular mechanic within Diablo 3 in like World of Warcraft and Path of Exile and almost any other like RPG that's out there. Everybody likes to customize their character. The more customization options you get, the better. And they said that there's going to be kind of like some paid cosmetics, and I would definitely like to see more of that leveraged. In order to support the game, because the game's got to make money. The company has to get a return on its investment. So it's how you're going to do it. We've seen Blizzard try their darndest to stick to that boxed game mentality that they grew up with. When the company was Silicon and Synapse, but it just really doesn't, like you're saying, it just doesn't exist nowadays. It works for like the console market, but even on the PC market, that is kind of dying. Look
Yeah.
at all of their top competitors between League of Legends, Valorant, all this other stuff. It's all free to play games with like cosmetic microtransaction buy-ins, and that's what people want. It helps increase your footprint, even though you're not going
Hmm.
to be making money off of every player. There's the people out there that are playing with like the $600 skins and things like that. I mean, hell, friggin' what is it? The spaceship game that I can't remember, Star Citizen. They had like the $13,000 budget, the bundle of like every single ship in the game. But in order to buy it, you had to have already spent $1,000 in the game to get the option to buy that package, and people bought it. You
Yeah.
know, you just need a couple of people to do that, and it helps support. It helps support your game. You know.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough because you want to offer they want to offer everything. It's been told to us that they want you to spend money in the game and feel like you got something for
Mm-hmm.
it. Like you're not just throwing away money. And I mean, when we're talking about cosmetics, this brings up another whole topic of player versus player.
Mm-hmm.
Because think about this, right? You have your character in Diablo Immortal or Diablo 3, let's say. There's no way to show it off. There's no way, except for if someone clicks on you in game and checks you out, there's no way to say, I got this gear, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when you're talking about, any of these battle royale games, let's say, if you win, you're up there dancing on this pedestal and you're showing off this gear that you have. I see Nemo right now saying Call of Duty Mobile, Warzone. When you win, whether it be any type of PvP game, you're up on the pedestal, you won, everything that you've bought or earned, all of your badges, they show. But in Diablo Immortal or any action RPG type game, there's no way to show it off. So it devalues the cosmetics, in my opinion, because you'll buy them for your own pleasure, but you can't like brag, like say, oh, I got this. And when you think about a lot of people that are playing, they're gonna want to be able to show it off. So
Mm-hmm.
it brings up the topic of what kind of PvP is going to be inside of the game. Is there going to be a way that you can win something and be displayed on a pedestal?
Yeah.
I know I have some really controversial ideas for what I would love to see inside of the game, but for PvP that is. But
I
cosmetics, yeah.
Yeah, it's like I honestly would love to see more PvP in the game. I didn't really get a chance to experience much of the PvP in
Hmm.
Immortal, because it was out in the world and it was on a fixed timer. And so if you weren't capable of playing at those times, you just missed out on it completely. And as much as I would love the chance to go through and get like destroyed by Greg or Adam, or Leviathan in those PvP scenarios, I just
Hmm.
didn't get the chance. They said that there's going to be more, but they're not interested in developing any type of esport. So that it's not going to be one of those ones that's kind of like finely tuned and crafted. But they have some more ideas of what they want to do for PvP. And
Yeah.
I know you've talked about it a little bit, on your own podcast, like some of your ideas. And I kind of like, of how you can leverage, those monetization systems like cosmetics and such, just through giving people a different way of playing the game.
Yeah, I mean, PvP equals game longevity, right? It's
Hmm.
just consistent new experiences without the developers having to do anything.
It's
Without
content that creates
PvP,
itself.
right? PvE, the developers always have to create new events, new characters, new zones, etc. So it's more of an investment from them continuously. And people have to like that. People have to like the PvP element. Now, I don't know what goes into development or how any of that works. I'm just a guy that plays video games, and I know that. And first of all, it doesn't need to be highly polished, well thought out. If we think back to Gears of War 1, I'm not sure if you played it, but Gears of War 1 was built as a campaign,
Hmm.
and it was said that the multiplayer was an afterthought, and they
Hmm.
said, let's throw together this multiplayer. Now, I don't know what throwing together means, but really it wasn't the focus of the game. But when the game released, it was the highlight of the game.
It became
So
it.
right, exactly. And I mean, one of my favorite games of all time. But either way, I think they need not zones that pop up that you have to go to at a certain time, because that's going to be for your hardcore players, especially if they're in later zones in the game. That means that people have already grinded through the game for 20 hours. You know, we need to see, and this is my opinion, lobbies. So just like if you're playing any of these shooters, and this is a very different game than a shooter, but you queue up in a lobby and you can go in and you could literally battle other people. You can go in with your guild mates, which, I mean, the social system inside of Diablo Immortal is going to be amazing. 150 people in a guild, and they were very interested in how you communicate with each other through voice chat, through text to voice. The communication was, I haven't seen anything better on mobile. Um,
I
so
that's a point I think that doesn't get said enough. That voice to text system was
mhm.
amazing, and I tried to use that as much as I could. But I hated that the fact that it had to be like a 5 second recording. That sometimes
Mhm.
you couldn't just say "oh hi," like that wasn't long enough, and so it wouldn't let you do the message.
You better have something important to say, or it's not worth it, Nine.
Is hi not important enough?
I guess not. I guess not. But I mean, you know what I would love to see, and this I haven't mentioned anywhere. But how about 150 player wars where you
Hmm.
literally can take your entire guild with you and battle another guild, literally just getting dropped in. You're here, you're there on the opposite ends of the world, and you converge and have a battle. That would be amazing. I mean, I could the game platform support 300 players in one zone at a time? I don't know. I mean, I don't know
Ooh.
how the system is built, but man, that would be
There's
so fun.
there's a network engineer out there sweating right now listening to that. But I don't know, but that sounds amazing. Like my first thing that comes to mind is the opening cinematic for Diablo 3, where like the sky just opens up and you have this army of angels that come through, and then the ground rips open, portal to hell forms, and then just
Mhm.
like this massive swath of demonic forces go through and clash with the angels. And it's like, yeah, I would like to relive that. That would be awesome. That's the type of thing that I would live for and could go through and do. You've got like Ashran in World of Warcraft. That was like a one-off zone. It wasn't like something that you could queue for, but it became popular enough, and there was enough people asking for it. They went and retooled it to make it a battleground that you could just queue and participate for at any point in time. Like massive 30. It changes as balance needs, but like 30 on 30 or 25 on 25, just deathmatch brawls as you're
Yeah.
basically playing like tug of war in the center.
Yeah. I mean, to the network engineer watching right now, I mean, I would be fine if you downgraded all the graphics for that event. Like the device automatically downgrades to the lowest settings just so that you don't have all that. I mean, these types of things are what are going to make Diablo Immortal stand out, because if we look at action RPGs on mobile, they are good. Diablo Immortal is already going to be better, but will Diablo Immortal, even being better than all other action RPGs, will it be able to rise to the top and be on the top of the action charts or the RPG charts? Or is it gonna, kind of stay down because it fits that mold? We need to remember, and Blizzard needs to remember, that they're not making a game primarily for their original Diablo audience. They're broadening now to an audience that's used to different things. And yeah, I know that a lot of Diablo 3 people that hear me say, because I've mentioned Battle Royale. You can't call it that because it's going to sound stupid when you're talking about Battle Royale with an action RPG. But if you called it like war or like some type of a combat, like that could be fun. Or even a team deathmatch where you go in with 5-on-5 and just have these battles. It could be a lot of fun. I don't see it taking a lot in the development side of things either. And that's that forever content, man. You'll have people that play the game that don't even play the campaign. They just want to play those battles. And you don't have to gear up. You don't have to do any of that because that's stuff that you'll unlock as you go. You'll have loadouts just like you would in a regular shooter type game.
Yeah, it's something that I actually need to go back and hold Leviathan to, because we've had many conversations about PvP in the past, because it was a very sore topic that Diablo 3 launched without any form of PvP whatsoever. And especially when the game leading up to its announcement, they had announced or showed off a team deathmatch arena that you could go and queue into, and that they would have PvP options and this and that. And then like the game launched, there was no PvP. Chris Wilson went through, who is not Chris Wilson. Now I'm doing what Leviathan did on the last episode. Jay Wilson went through and said that PvP is coming, with like, what was it? I think it was Diablo patch 1.10, or 1.1. It was coming in. It was coming in patch 1.1, and they went to 1.010, before then Reaper of Souls dropped. They never delivered on it, but they never actually released patch 1.1 with the PvP content. And it was just like later on in like some sort of like post-mortem talk that they said that it was just like it was impossible to balance and we just couldn't find a way of using it. They later reused like the art assets for like some like little Rift content and such, but we never got a chance to actually play the arenas unless you were one of the lucky ones at, I think it was like BlizzCon 2010 and 2011. You had a chance to play it. Maybe it was 2009 and 2010. You got a chance to play it, and that was it. Those are the only people that ever got to play PvP in Diablo 3. Because they later added in brawling, where you could just go into the zone and kill each other, but there wasn't any point. There's no reward. There's no call-outs. There's nothing that you get besides just beating up each other, and it's not supported. And so you just go in, and the damage numbers are so insanely scaled. You just one-shot. It's just a one-shot fest of who goes in first.
Well, that's why it has to be like a separate mode inside of the game. So
yeah.
If you're doing any of this PvP, any gear that you grinded in the game, that's irrelevant. It doesn't matter. Everyone's going to be on that same field. If it's a battle royale mode, everyone drops in naked, and you got to find your gear and slay demons for your gear. Or if it's a team deathmatch, you just go in with the standard loadout and that's it. And then your balancing issue is gone. Then it's literally going to be just like any like Call of Duty, but it's going to be with the Blizzard style stuff. There's a game out right now that's a battle royale with wizards and stuff. I forget the name of it. Nemo, if he's in the chat, he would remember the name of it. Spellbreak or something like that. And it's battle royale with wizards and spells and stuff like that. And I don't see Diablo Immortal being like that, but the idea has been and can be done. I think it would be nice. And someone else in the chat mentioned, like a Brawl Stars game mode, like different game modes like that where you have to. Now, Brawl Stars is really cartoony and it wouldn't fit the Diablo world, but I'm sure they can take a model like that and build off of it. I mean,
we just need to make it satanic.
What's that?
We just need to make it satanic.
Yeah, darken it up, you know, throw some blood in there and some growls and you're good to go.
Yeah. It's a very funny thing that I never held Leviathan to, which I realized I started a point and never finished it. Because I got ranting and rambling. But throughout the history of the show, Leviathan was always like, meh, on PvP. Like, is it something that people, like, if people wanted it, people would be doing it. they would make it happen and show the community that they wanted PvP, and they didn't. So maybe people just wanted to complain about PvP and never really wanted it. And then what did Leviathan do when PvP was available in Immortal? He had an alarm set on his phone for like every hour and a half. So he would wake up in the middle of the night just to go through and PvP out in Bilefin. So he embraced that, and it was one of his favorite aspects and mechanics in the game. But yeah, having something that's a bit more just like to speak to that experience and people's reactions, to that PvP experience. I think something that had more of a queue in, or because what it became was, people would just go through and get 4-person parties to go through and fight it out. And if you weren't in a 4-person party, well, enjoy dirt because you're getting stomped into the ground.
And that's why the model that they have is more of an event model. It's not a true PvP model because it's not an even playing field.
Mm-hmm.
You could have 4 of those people that if they're buying those legendary crests and maxing out their gems, they have max gear. You have 4 people literally sitting there at the event waiting for everyone to come. You show up, you look at them, you click on them, you're like, all right, we're just gonna keep going this way. We're gonna go farm a little bit more.
Yep.
Because you could see your opponent, which you can't have in PvP. Yeah, I don't think that's a good way to have even PvP. And that's like an event, it's not a true model of PvP, which is cool. But I don't think it could be the only model that they're going with, or then we're going to start hearing the issues of the pay to win, the PvP model of the game's not even truly available to free-to-play players because we're getting smoked by all these pay to win players the whole time. So there comes the issue.
Mm-hmm.
Better to just have, 2 sides of the game. The classic type Diablo and then the multiplayer battle mode, and it's a lobby-based system.
And that's something that like goes even further back to the Diablo Inc. gamer days. That the person that ran that, Flux, was saying, and this is now like literally like 10 years ago. Maybe they should just do a PvP as a form. Like this was before battle royales and things like that existed. He was saying like maybe like an arcade brawler type scenario where you just have your pre-built character. I want to play a monk, and it just gives you gear and you go and play where everything is, the numbers are a little bit more better balanced. That kind of ties in with that system that you're saying where it's separated from your own progression, but maybe still has some sort of tie-in for rewards.
Yeah, that man was above his time, wasn't he? I mean, that's a great idea. I mean, yeah, I love that idea. I mean, and you could have random sets too. Like you could go into these things, or you could choose all the skills and stuff that you want to use, and it could be it's endless. There's endless possibilities. I mean, Blizzard, it's Blizzard. They could do whatever they want. There's nothing that limits them. They have the capability. It's just, do they think it's worth it?
Yeah.
You also have to think, Blizzard has mentioned that they're taking other games to mobile, right? So
they said that they intend to put all of their franchises on mobile.
Yeah, I don't know if I have enough time to have that many YouTube channels because I'm going to be there covering them all. But like, maybe they don't want to step on the toes of an Overwatch that's going to be coming to mobile, because that is a battle royale, shooter, PvP. Maybe they want Diablo Immortal to stay classic and be what it is. But I do think it will limit how popular it can get, because you're not going to have that massive popularity. I mean, when you look at the most popular games, they're most streamed games, most viewed games. Most of them are team deathmatch, battle royale shooter games. 5 out of the top 10. So, not that we're shooters here, but it's PvP that's the key.
Oh yeah. And it's something that draws people in. There's always the desire to be the best. Be the number one. And there's no better way of going through and saying that than, PvP. And there's very few games that have done like PvEP well. Where you're racing against another team and like PvE content. World of Warcraft has found some success in that in their Mythic Dungeon Invitationals. Or like the race to world first with the raids and such, but it doesn't have quite the same draw that your Overwatch League does, or the LCS or the Invitational, all these other things, these big kind of like tent pole esports events. But we'll have to wait and see. They because the only thing that they've really told us is that there's more beyond Bilefin, and that they don't want it to become an esport. So
Hmm.
we'll see what incarnation that makes. But it has to be on the radar. It has to be a focus because it's one of the core tenets going into Diablo 4. And even though Diablo Immortal is being made by a different team, there's a lot of cross chatter. There's a lot of inter team communications and bouncing ideas off of each other, and they're all reporting back up to kind of like the same people or the same person, like Rod Ferguson, who's in charge, who's like the executive producer of the entire Diablo franchise. And so there's a
Yeah.
lot of these ideas and stuff like that I'm sure are going to be like, oh, that works, can you put this in Immortal? Oh, that works, can you put this in Diablo 4?
It would be silly if they didn't, right? Like if they heard
Mm-hmm.
that great idea and they didn't say, "Oh, we could do that here too." Like that would just be shooting themselves in the foot. So of course there's going to be that cross chatter and sharing of ideas. I mean, they all work for the same company. Um, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it just the fan reaction when they announced PvP was going to be like one of the core pillars for Diablo 4. People went crazy. People absolutely loved it. It's something that there's a non insignificant group of people that played Diablo 2 were just there for duels.
Hmm.
You had your LLDs, low level duels, your MLDs, mid level duels. There's all these other types of things and such that people would go and do. Enigma's banned in this league and all these other types of requirements and such. And just none of that got captured in Diablo 3. And so there's a lot of pressure, or at least there's a lot of eyes on hoping that Diablo 4 brings some of that back. And it's something that Leviathan and I have lamented many times in the past, that when you have these big like DreamHack invitationals and stuff like that, you love seeing your team or your favorite player out there competing in StarCraft or competing in League of Legends or whatever esport that you're into. Oh yeah, and Diablo doesn't have any type of competitive mode, so we just have to, the Diablo fans just have to sit back and watch. We have to
Yeah.
root for a different game. We can't root for our own franchise.
Yeah, I think that PvP answers so many of the issues and problems. You're going to have the pay to win issue is not going to be an issue because it wouldn't even impact the PvP model. You could get more money from cosmetics, so they could make more money from outfits and all different things there from the play PvP model versus the PvE model. And it's not gonna you're gonna be able to do multiple different types of things in the game. With all this being said, they may have a completely different idea in mind and go in a direction that we're not thinking. And maybe it's the right direction. Maybe it's something even better than we're talking about here, or maybe they have reasons why what we're discussing won't work.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they are the developers.
Yeah, I remember them going through and talking about. I think it was like a little 15-minute lightning talk that they had at one BlizzCon, where they had one of the technical animators going through and talking
Mhm.
about trying to create a visual effect for teleport, and that they went through so many iterations of trying to make it work that they found that the best way to make the animation for teleport work was to just remove the animation for teleport. It's like trying to make some sort of like big animation or call out or anything like that just didn't work. And it was just like, we're just gonna put kind of like a negative effect so that way you kind of like blink, and that's it. No
Yeah.
hop in the air, no like like pull off the ground, no jumping through a portal or anything like that. You literally just blink forward, because if we add any type of animation to it, it just didn't feel right. And so it was a great talk in my mind, because it goes and talks to they want to make sure that whatever it is that they do, even to like these base little skill animations,
Mhm.
feels good and is right for the game, even if that means basically dropping a ton of work that this animator did to try and get it to function, and it ultimately came to it can't make it
Blink.
work. Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
uh,
Well, it shows that they're invested on putting what they think is best forward, no matter how much they spend on trying to develop something. If it doesn't work, the blink method may make it at the end of the day, which you have to respect. Yeah, it takes time. We want the game, but when we get it, we know we're getting something that's going to be the best possible thing.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. To change gears a little bit, I wanted to say, from my point of view, I'm coming from a content creator that primarily, creates content for like the PC and to a smaller extent the console players, going into kind of like a little bit of sticking my toe into the mobile gaming side of the pool, and I have some personal experiences from the whole debacle of the Immortal announcement itself, that there's a lot of vitriol, negativity, and hatred that went through and came from the PC side of players. Predominantly, it kind of boiled down to, we wanted you to announce Diablo 4 and you announced a mobile game. Especially as like the tentpole announcement at what has always been a PC event, even though that other games had already been released at console by 2018. You could play Overwatch, you could play Diablo 3, all those other types of stuff. But it's always like PC first, and now you're announcing a mobile game when everybody wanted Diablo 4, and that's where a lot of like the backlash came from about just the way that it was handled. Maybe not, people really wouldn't have cared that it was a mobile game if they had gotten Diablo 4 first. And that's something that I see some people in the community still trying to hold on to, but there has been a massive shift in tone ever since this technical alpha, because you have all of these other content creators and these like pillars and figures from within the community that are all like, yo, this game's good. Like, this game is really good. And I'm just wondering if it's something that you ever even experienced, coming from the mobile side of things, and like covering Immortal from the very beginning, to a dedicated audience of mobile players. Was like this hatred or vitriol anything that you saw, and have you seen any change in the reception to the game since the alpha came out?
Yeah, it's a great question. And so for me, when I started Diablo Immortal content, I actually started my main YouTube channel, the Echo Gaming channel, just to see what it would do. And it's funny because when you're serving it to your audience, and now we're getting into a little bit of YouTube tech talk, YouTube serves it to your audience, and your audience, my audience, is mobile gamers. So, it's very positive comments, a lot of thumbs up, not many thumbs downs. But as soon as the video starts doing well, YouTube starts to serve it out to other people that are no longer your audience.
Mm-hmm.
And when that started to happen in the beginning, that's when I started getting the negative comments and the thumbs downs. It was legitimately day 1, 2, 3, all very positive. Then the views on the videos would start to jump up, and I would notice all the negativity coming in because it was being served to an audience outside of my mobile gaming audience. But that was over a year ago that I made those videos. Now, as time goes on, I mean, I wasn't scared to tackle Diablo Immortal. When I heard that announcement, I was stoked. I was so happy. Maybe one of the few people on this earth excited about the Immortal coming to mobile. This is going to be great. I made my channel. Really, no one else was doing it because there was not much to talk about. And a lot of people were really worried that the game was going to come or whatever was going to happen. So I just dove in and I dealt with it. And I've been focused on building a community. And now, man, I rarely get negative comments about Diablo Immortal. I know that they're out there. I know that IGN just put out a video saying positive things about Diablo Immortal, and there were just about as many thumbs downs as thumbs up. So, but you got people that are just jumping on the hate bus, man. That's really what it is. You have people that want to feel strongly one way or the other. This goes about everything in life. We just saw it all happening like crazy in politics. We see it happening in our gaming stuff. And the way I look at it is, if you play Diablo Immortal and have an argument that the game is trash, we could talk, because I'm willing to have that discussion. But if you have never played it, then you really don't have a foot to stand on saying that it's awful. You could be mad that Blizzard isn't bringing Diablo 4 sooner, but you can't say that the game is horrible. I mean, most of the people that are saying, a lot of this hate stuff, they don't even understand the mechanics of pay to win or all that stuff. It's new to them because they were maybe playing Diablo 3, which you purchase the game and you're basically good to go. I don't know. Maybe I'm ranting a little bit or going on, but I think a lot of people, they just like to, once they get it set in their head that this is going to suck, this is going to be bad, it's easy to go with it. I mean, we still see the comment, "Do you have phones?" still being thrown everywhere 2 years later. You know.
I think the "Do you have a phone" has cemented itself in the Diablo community, and will exist until the end of time as much as Error 37 has.
Mm-hmm.
So
Probably.
yeah,
Poor
that
Wyatt.
yeah, yeah, it's definitely a poor Wyatt moment on that one. But I am glad to see that people are starting to go through and get over those biases.
Mm.
There like some of the worst that I've seen is just people in like the various chats on Twitch or YouTube and such, and they're like, we need to get a different opinion because everybody here liked the game. you know it's
Yeah.
like they're starting to go through and get it, that maybe it actually is going and delivering on that authentic Diablo experience, that Wyatt and the rest of the team said that they're trying to deliver with this game, and that
Yeah.
it's good. And they're kind of like, I don't I everybody's telling me that this game is good, but I don't want to believe it, so I need someone to say otherwise for me to go and like that video.
Yeah, and I mean, they have a foot to stand on in a way because, they've probably had bad experiences with mobile games. Like I said, there's some great ones and there's a lot of really bad ones.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody could put a mobile game out there and it could be a piece of garbage or it could be a really nice, a nice game. So you get burnt a few times or you spend money on something stupid in a mobile game a few times and you kind of are like, oh, I don't really like this. This isn't cool. But you need to figure out what games are worth it and which games aren't. It's like the Atari back in the day. Anyone could put out an Atari game, and that's kind of was almost the downfall, which is why NES became such a positive thing because it was certified by Nintendo, right? The mobile market, anybody could build a game and put it on the mobile market, so it's kind of like that Atari. But everyone's gonna love Diablo Immortal, man. That's what it comes down to. And if they don't love it, that's cool. Maybe they don't love holding the mobile platform. Maybe they just are mad because they have a $3,000 computer and they have to play the game that they love on their phone. I understand those disappointments, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at the game and you play it and you say this game is bad, I mean it's just not true. At least in my opinion, I think it's a really well built game and that it really puts out a great representation of what we know, and even better than what we've seen from Diablo in the past. It's an amazing game. It's just put on this platform, man.
Yeah, I think that is such a beautiful analogy too, like that difference between the Atari and the certified by Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
And that reminds me, I'm going slightly off script and off topic here, but did you watch the Netflix documentary High Score?
I did. Yes,
That
I did.
that
Mm-hmm.
was one of those ones where I didn't realize that was really how bad the Atari was. That anybody could just slap some plastic together with a little bit of code, ship
Yeah.
it, and try and sell it. You know,
ET game.
yes, the graveyard of ET games.
Right.
Um, but yeah, it is. Yeah, I think that one is a pretty good analogy there. And if you haven't, if you're a gamer, go watch High Score. It's great. It is
Yeah.
it's amazing. I think there's only like
Yeah.
6 episodes. You'll get through it like in just a couple sit throughs.
Yeah. It's really it gives you a history lesson on video games. It's I mean especially the first few episodes, the first three, they really captured me. They were really great.
Hmm.
It shows the roots of what we love, man.
Oh
It's
yeah,
cool.
and how the mentality of gamers hasn't changed since the 70s. We just got social
Yeah.
media and that's it. Um,
It's true.
Yeah, but it is like one of those ones where it is like Blizzard has its own standard of quality that it has to live up to with this
Mm-hmm.
game, and a lot of the console and PC players, because of the stigma that revolves around the mobile gaming market, they don't believe it. Blizzard has also had a little bit of an identity crisis over the last couple of years with corporate interference from Activision. Certain people like Mike Morhaime going and stepping down, questionable business practices with going and letting go of all the employees. There's a lot of things that Blizzard's been dealing with. A lot of blows to their character, and then in the middle of all of that, announcing a mobile game that people just you've lost some credibility with your core audience, and then you're announcing, a game and a market that is known for its predatory practices. And so, it's a lot of those fears is definitely understandable. And I hope that, what we've seen in the alpha is, just like a taste of things to come. Because if the alpha ships, and the game ships in its current state, and the only way that you get legendary gems is by paying for them, and that's the worst of it. I don't think that it's that bad, because in the beginning, like the limited playtime that we had in the alpha, sure, those legendary gems, it's gonna be a deal breaker. But once you go through and you put 100, 200 hours into your character, not so much. It's gonna make up. It's gonna make a piece of it. But the person that plays 100 hours in leveling up their gear and such really doesn't have anything to fear from the person that puts 50 hours into the game plus $1,000. The money that you put in will never make up for playtime.
No, and it won't. And there's always catch-up issues with games like this, or many games, right? If you start today, the player that starts a year from now is going to have to do catching up. There's not going to be seasons in Diablo Immortal. It's going to be your character, and that's what you're grinding. So that's balancing they have to figure out as well. Like, if you're playing Nine, if you're playing your Demon Hunter or your Necromancer for 5 years, and someone starts 5 years from now, like, there's a massive gap that needs to be made up. And pay to win or free to play, in this case, it doesn't matter. It matters in cases when you play these war games. I'm not going to mention the names of them, where you could spend thousands or hundred thousands of dollars. I do know some cases where this was done. You build up so much power that you can then just go around and just take this person's power, and loot that they've been grinding for so long, and they have no way of defending themselves besides getting together with a massive amount of free-to-play players. I'm talking about thousands of them, or spending money to defend yourself. And that is predatory, because you're making people feel like they have to pay just so that they can protect themselves, not even compete, just protect themselves so they don't lose everything. Now in Diablo Immortal, or Diablo in general, okay, maybe you can't progress as high as you want in the leaderboards, but you're not losing all this gear that you grinded to get for 6 months, which that's some of the stuff that we see. It's really hard to swallow, because you're forcing people to spend.
Yeah. And
over.
Yeah. No, I think it's a good point, and especially coming from someone that has the mobile resume, that you do, and that experience in that field, that market, that's completely new to us, over here on this side. It's a welcome viewpoint to have, because you're going to be able to talk more eloquently. I of course stutter on that word about about those points and those views.
Yeah, I mean, and let's be real here. I was a console gamer for a long time, and then I was a PC gamer exclusively for quite a few years. I got into mobile gaming because I had kids, and I didn't have time to sit at my console or my computer and just game all day. So I then picked up games that I could pick up for 10 minutes here and there, and I really started noticing what mobile can bring. Now I'm almost exclusively a mobile gamer. Even though I have this crazy computer in front of me, I play mobile games, which people make fun of me for all the time. But I have experience in all of them, and I do see the future is mobile. There's no question about it. So it's time to embrace it and move forward.
Yeah. But with that, what are your thoughts? Where do we go from here? We've had the technical alpha. I guess, there of course is room for another alpha if they wanted to, or to go into beta. And the way every team, every franchise, every game developer, there's no hard set definition for alpha and beta. It changes from development team to development team, but Blizzard in general, they say an alpha is a pre-testing experience of the game in an incomplete state, and a beta is a testing of the game where every single mechanic and game element and system is available to be tested in some form or fashion. And so, because we weren't able to get to level 60, we weren't able to get all of our skills, there are some as of yet unknown in-game systems that we didn't get a chance to experience, classifies it as an alpha. Until those things happen, until we get to play the Crusader, until we get to play the Necromancer, it won't be a beta. But if we go through and they do decide to run a beta test before going straight into the release of the game, what are some of the things that you're most excited to see or hoping to see?
I mean, I want to see the full game, and with that brings a lot of the PvP. I got Diablo Immortal Alpha, and even after playing it at BlizzCon 2019, I was still blown away on how much was in front of me, right? And I was looking at it and playing it and saying, I can't believe that this is not the complete game. It was just so vast. It was just amazing. Um, I typically what we see is I was sad that Alpha went away, but it's really my
We all
first time
are.
spending a lot. I know. It's my first time spending a lot of time in an alpha. Like, usually if I get an alpha, I play it. I'm like, oh, this game is cool, and that's it. But I played the alpha, at least 80 hours over the 3 weeks, just playing everything that I could, trying to get as much of it as I could in that time. So I'm wondering if they're going to bring out another alpha once they get the other game modes made, once they get the other classes made, or if they're going to bring it right into the beta. Because typically once you go to beta, unless there's any big problems, it goes into a global launch. That's typically what I've seen. I don't know if that's Blizzard's way. That's what I've seen from others in the space. It's alpha's testing, beta comes out, that rolls into global launch.
Yeah. It's like I said, even at Blizzard, it's changed from team to team. Not every game goes into an alpha test. Some will go
Mhm.
straight into a beta test, and usually from then you know that the game isn't too far off from release. Um, you know,
Yeah.
Diablo is one of those ones that actually has had some infamous beta tests. Like the original Diablo 3 beta test only allowed you to go to level 12. So obviously that definition of beta didn't exist back in 2011 when the game was first being tested. You never got to test legendaries or in-game systems or anything of that. You got to level 12, and that was it. Tested, done, whole game. That's it.
Mm.
Um, so
I think Blizzard, it's been such a rough road for them with Diablo Immortal. I think they really wanted to see true opinions of people that would truly give them good criticism. And I think that they were at the end of Alpha. If I had to guess how Blizzard is feeling, I think they have a breath of fresh air saying, okay, we have something good here that people like. We need to do tweaks here and there. We need to think about these issues that were brought up, but we have a good product that people are going to really like. Because before that, all it was them and their coworkers who were building the game, obviously loving it. So now they finally got some real critics with some experience behind them to say, I think most people, I don't personally know anyone that played it that said, I didn't like it. So
exactly.
that's got to feel good. That's got to feel good
that
for them.
that was one of the ones that like BlizzCon 2018 and again at 2019, talking with some other content creators in the Diablo community. I'm not going to name names, that enjoyed playing the beta, but didn't, or not the beta, but the demo at BlizzCon, and didn't want to state as such publicly because of the fear of backlash from the community. But now that there's
Right.
enough of the voices out there going through and saying, like that this game is legit, people aren't as scared to share those opinions and have those conversations.
Yeah. I mean, and
People aren't scared to go through and entertain the idea. I'm not going to be a D3 streamer anymore. I'm going to stream Immortal until 4 comes out.
yeah, and that was something that I didn't know was going to happen. Leviathan, Riker, and Bloodshed. I was like, I didn't know if they were going to play Diablo Immortal just to do the alpha and then go back to D3. But I mean, I think those guys may start streaming Diablo Immortal until Diablo 4 comes out. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Bloodshed himself, he was grinding that game for 8 to 10 hours a day
Oh
every
yeah.
day.
Mm-hmm.
And from what I believe, I mean, I was in a lot of his streams. It seemed like he enjoyed what he was doing.
Yeah. It was, for a lot of people, it was a breath of fresh air. That even with like the little seasonal twists, the new sets and things like that we get in D3, having a brand new game to play was just an amazing experience. It was something that it was really, really fun. It was really good to not just, and it wasn't just another game, it was another Diablo game.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. And it definitely gave you that feel. There was nothing that was like a watered down version. It was It was exactly what everyone would have hoped that it was.
Yep.
Better, honestly, because
Yeah.
I don't know that you or Leviathan or Riker or Bloodshed or any of the big boys went into this saying, I expect this to be amazing. I think most of you went in being a little skeptical about it, to be honest.
Well, I am a hashtag paid actor, so my opinion was bought and paid for by Blizzard back in 2018. So, I was singing its praises this whole time. But that's just my where let's go through and put in the paid promotion hashtag right in there. That just but that was like that. I mean, that experience alone scared some people because of all the backlash, the threats and stuff like that I got, for being the lore guy asking a lore question at the lore panel, and people got upset at me. I had like the mass unfollows. I got whispers, DMs, people tweeting at me like a bunch of hateful, mean, nasty things that so hurt my feelings. That was just that. It's like, wow, this is a reaction that people are going to go through and give. I'm not touching Immortal with a 10-foot pole. But it's good. It's good that things have changed.
We're not there anymore, man. People are, I mean, everyone that has a big following for Diablo has put out their honest opinions about the game, and the people that truly love them and follow them, they have some respect for those opinions, and it's been positive. So.
Oh yeah. And I guess we're getting late into the evening here, but there is one more important topic. And that's BlizzConline is going through and coming up like literally a month away. Obviously, the community has its expectations and sights on learning more about Diablo 4. With Diablo 4, we get the quarterly updates from the developers. They're giving us insights into the progress of the game. Our quarter 1 update is going to be BlizzConline, and they've already set us up for going all out. They've teased that they're going to be announcing one of the 2 as of yet unannounced character classes for D4. But I'm still hoping. I'm greedy. I want to see all this Diablo 4 information, but I want more. I want to see some stuff on Immortal because we didn't really get a lot from Immortal in 2019. I want to see some more in-depth gameplay of like the Crusader, the Necromancer, and what some of these in-game systems that they've teased us with are. Is there any expectations, any hopes that you have going into BlizzConline?
Well, I know that they're going to be showing everyone what we've experienced, right? Like, so they're going to be taking our experience and sending it out to more of the masses because they have more reach than us. I mean, they're Blizzard. But I don't know if they're just going to show what we already know, having had the technical alpha and been in those chats, or if there's going to be another step. What I want to see is I want to see a date, man, and I don't think we're going to get it. I want to see a date that says we're coming at you guys with a beta in June 2021 or something.
Now, when you say a date for a beta, that definitely begins to make it a lot more likely because they have announced beta start dates at BlizzCons in the past. So it's not one that is too far out there of going through and having, especially if it's something that is kind of like hard locked within the next couple of months. That they're willing to go through and give like a forward facing statement. One of the problems with announcing firm dates is because whenever they do that, it's a forward looking statement to their investors, and so those things have to be vetted by lawyers and analysts and all those other types of stuff. Things that get in the way of fun. Let's be honest. But I'm definitely hoping that we get an announcement of at least a beta date for Immortal, because once we get to beta, we're one step closer to release, and I have a pretty good feeling just on like the level of gameplay that you had in the technical alpha that was ready to be released. You mentioned it many times throughout the show, just comparing it to other games that have already been released that are playable now. It is above and beyond them, and so I think that they could release the game now in its current state, and people would be ecstatic about that Diablo experience on the phone. Um, but it's got to release this year, right? Please
hope
just
so.
tell me it's got to release this year. Lie to me.
Listen, I hope so. I mean, the day, because this is the way I'm seeing it. Beta is going to come. Most likely, beta doesn't go away. It rolls over into full release. So literally, the day that beta comes, I play Diablo Immortal for the next 5 years every single day. So I'm looking forward to that date. It's going to be good for me personally because I just love the game, and it's. I mean, I game for a living. I make content online for a living, and it's going to help my channel, which I've been grinding for a year with really no game until the alpha. And it was really nice to get the alpha and actually see like things start to grow in the channel, but now it's gone again, so things are getting quiet. But it's going to be really nice to have what I've invested so much time into to make, the future of my online status, I guess. So that's me being selfish on trying to like grow my business, but at the same time, um beta, it needs to hit. It's going to be
Mm-hmm.
sick once it does. It's going to be overwhelming. Everything has bugs, right? There's going to be
Mm-hmm.
issues, but that's what update fixes are for. You fix something. If something's out
Mm-hmm.
of balance, you fix it in a patch. And a lot of these things nowadays on mobile, they just happen quick. It's like a quick update your game, you're good to go. Some of the updates push themselves really easily because they're small little updates. Everything doesn't need to be 100% implemented. They don't have to have, in my opinion, every game mode they're thinking of implemented. I always have said that the idea of different seasonal events would be cool.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you do it quarterly, like this quarter, we're implementing, like we mentioned, the war mode where it's
Yeah.
150. So this season we're doing this, and it's gonna last for 3 weeks, and that's a great way for Blizzard to test. Will people like this?
Mm-hmm.
If they do it and no one plays it and it sucks, okay, that's gone forever. But if they do it and an overwhelming number of people play it, they may say to themselves, maybe we should implement this into the game full time.
That
And
that
it's a great,
That's what
yeah.
GGG does with Path of Exile. They're if
Mm-hmm.
the league is popular enough, it becomes part of the base game, and people are still delving, years later. Sorry
Yeah.
for cutting
I
you
mean,
off there, but yeah,
no,
there's precedent in the ARPG community for that type of development style.
it's smart. I mean, it's a smart way to test something rather than putting all of your resources into it, shipping it, and it's a part of the game exclusively. Put it out as a test first,
Mm-hmm.
and see how it's embraced by the community. Some things are gonna flop. Some things are gonna probably be better than they would have ever expected, and that's how you can make good decisions for the game.
Mm-hmm.
So, I just want beta, man, and I want a date.
I I just want to play the game again. I don't know about
Yeah.
you, but my phone gave me the update today. Neinball, it's been a while since you've last played. Come back to Sanctuary and slay demons. And it's just like, oh, I want to. I really
Listen,
do.
I
Uh,
still on my phone have like the games that I play. I'm always deleting stuff, and
huh.
I have a dead image right there of Diablo Immortal. I
Yep.
could click on it and it shows me Diablo,
Yep.
but that's about it.
And that's
And
it.
I'm not ready to say goodbye yet, man. It's gonna stay there until you never know. One day, but they may forget to turn the off button on, and I could hop back in, jump into Westmarch.
I'm there. I check it every morning. I try logging in. One day it'll let me.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like,
it's
hey Wyatt, leave the lights on
son.
tonight, man. We're gonna have a little party.
uh, it's
That'll be fun.
it's like the opposite of leaving the sock on the door. It's like, go ahead, come on in. Yeah.
How amazing would that be if they just did that? I mean, I know it's not that easy, but
Uh-huh.
if they just said, at everyone,
Yeah.
Westmarch is open. Come for a party. That would be so cool.
Stop in the middle of my workday and just to go through and start playing.
Workday. So another thing about BlizzConline, it's a few-day event. Is this something that like are there going to be like virtual tickets so you can get into certain rooms? Is this all open? Are they going to be exclusive rooms? Do you know anything about that?
They've not mentioned their full plans, but from what it seems like, yeah, it's just going to be full online, full free for the streams. Now, normally at the convention, there's multiple panels where they have multiple discussions, and so there's probably going to be multiple streams that are going to be going and taking place.
So I literally need to take off from my job to be at the entire BlizzCon. I need to
We
experience it.
we should hopefully get a calendar of events prior, to the actual
Yeah.
BlizzConline itself, so you can better map out your time.
Mhm.
But yeah, I would plan on taking that Friday and Saturday off.
I
I
mean, the
would
cool thing is you could take it with you on your phone. Another great reason. Don't you have a phone, man? Just take your phone with you all day. Keep the earbud in.
got
You
it
won't
right
miss a
here.
thing.
I even got. I'm repping my D4. I got my Lilith on my screen.
There you go, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'll be honest. Unpopular opinion here. I don't care much about what I'm going to hear about D4 at BlizzConline.
Those are fighting words.
I know. I mean, I'm gonna play D4 when it comes out, but my excitement is for Diablo Immortal. So I want to hear a lot about Immortal. I want to hear about D4. I mean, it's sick, but
I mean, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's something that for better or for worse, that the Diablo community just has dealt with for a very long time. Because there are those diehard purists that Diablo 2 is a superior game. There are people that are, I prefer Diablo 3. There are going to be people. You are already one of them. Then it's like, I prefer Diablo Immortal. There are going to be people that are playing Diablo 4 that are like, man, Diablo 3 was such a better game. Those opinions are valid.
I was one of those people with Gears of War. Gears of War 1 for me is still the best Gears of War, even though it was the first one, less polished. It was still, if I could play any again, it would be that one. And it's the same type thing.
It was Gears of War 2 that they had kind of like your first game PvP boost, right?
Yeah, that's when they realized that PvP was like awesome.
Yeah.
In Gears of War.
I remember seeing like a GDC talk where they talked about Gears of War, that they found that people played the game longer if they won their first couple of matches. If they won their first match, they would lose 9 more times before they logged off. But if they lost their first match, they would log off. And so one of the things that they implemented was, without telling anybody, was behind the scenes. In your first game that you log in to play, I think it was starting with Gears of War 2, you had increased health and increased damage. And so you would you would actually have an advantage in your first game. It would slowly dwindle if you went on like a killing spree in that match until you went back down to baseline. But then for the rest of the time that you're online, you're the same stats as everybody else. But they would always give you that boost for that first game that you played, to try and basically, it was like the taste. It's to get you in. You got your first shot. You got your endorphin rush, and then we've got you for the next 3 hours.
So the trick is to play a game, log offline, log back on, and continuously play your first game.
I think that there were some protections that to help try and prevent that, but it was one of those ones where it's like no one discovered it. No one talked about it or knew that it was in place. It was like a GDC talk, and this was like 7 years after the game came out that they unveiled it. And it was just like, yeah, no one ever knew. It was a psychology thing, as they just did it for the psychology aspect of it, to get people to stay on and play. That people were just like, I lost, I'm logging off. But even if they lost, they were still having fun as long as they got that first win in. Didn't matter whether they win or lose for the rest of the day. They were having fun. They just had to be kind of like convinced that they were having fun.
It's all about those brain chemicals, man. It's what it comes down to. Science.
Yep. The comment in the chat, same thing. Everyone having their different WoW expansion as their favorite. There's the people that loved Classic. There's the people that loved Burning Crusade, Wrath of the Lich King, Cataclysm, Mop. The people that are wrong with Warlords of Draenor. I'm sorry. If Warlords of Draenor was your favorite, you either PvP'd or you're wrong, and that's it. Or Legion or Battle for Azeroth and such. It's very true. But yeah. With that, I guess we're definitely now getting really late in the evening. I'm sorry for going through and taking so much of your time here tonight, but I'm very thankful that you wanted to come on the show, that you agreed to come on here and rant with me for a little bit.
Yeah, definitely, man. This is I was really excited about coming on, kicking back, and talking about it, especially because I don't have the game. I just kind of wanted to, jump back in mentally and talk about the experience. Plus, we want everyone to know how good this thing is going to be. So get that word out there.
Oh yeah, you had me on your show, so I talked on your show, and now you talked on my show. So we're set. We're all
Feels
good.
good. You did more than just talk on my show. You talked on a whole series of lore, and on those series of lore, I did not talk very much whatsoever. Just listened. I listened to the storytelling, man.
Oh yeah, and thank you again. I enjoy going through collaborating with you. I hope that this isn't the last time that you're on here. But before we go through and head out, by all means, give your channel another call out. Tell people where they can find you online.
Yeah, sure, man. I'm Echo Gaming online, but my Diablo channel is called Echo Gaming Diablo. We got daily Diablo Immortal videos as long as I can put out daily Diablo Immortal videos. Topics are getting slim, but we're trying. So, yeah, it's the best spot to find me. Echo Gaming.
I'll drop a link for that YouTube channel, in the description, on the podcast links and over on YouTube. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate you having me, man.
I enjoyed you going through being on the show here. And as we go through and close it out, just want to remind everybody you can catch the show live here every other Wednesday at twitch.tv/BlizzPro at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. While the next couple of weeks, there's going to be a lot of news and stuff like that coming out, so we'll still have some weekly episodes. Next episode is going to be recorded on February 3rd, and then as we get into the BlizzCon online speculation, we'll probably be ramping it up a little bit further from there. But just make sure follow the show on Twitch, subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, what have you, or you can always follow the show at the WM Workshop on Twitter. You can follow me on Twitter over at Neinball Gamer. And you can always check out the episodes in their full format over at diablo.blizzpro.com. And with that, I thank you everybody for tuning in, and I can't wait to talk to you all next time. You all have a good evening.